So the Bronx Zoo has moved on. There's a new circus in town, and it's the New York Mets. What's going on, baseball fans? Jeremy Laracuente here for the Baseball Banter Broadcast channel. And as you can tell by the opening, we are going to be discussing the absolute catastrophe that is the New York Mets and this whole thumbs down situation. Now, just to kind of give it a little bit of context if you don't know what I'm discussing right now, Javier Baez and Francisco Lindor and Kevin Pillar would all begin doing the thumbs down motion after reaching base over the last few games for the New York Mets. Javi would then be asked about it after a game, and he would have these comments to say.
What does the thumbs down celebration after a big hit mean?
Just the booze that we get. You know, we're not machines. We're gonna struggle. You know, we're gonna struggle 7 times out of 10, and you know, it just feels bad when we strike out. When I strike out and I get booed, you know, it doesn't really get to me. But like I want to let them know that when we success, we're gonna do the same thing to know how to let them know how it feels. You know, because if we win together, then we gotta lose together. You know, and the fans are really big part of it. So. In my case, they gotta be better. You know, I play for the fans and I love the fans, but you know, if they're gonna do that, they just putting more pressures on the team, and that's not what we want.
Now, first and foremost, fans are going to boo. That is their right. That is their way of voicing their displeasure with the players and their performance. We've seen it all throughout sports for a very, very long time. There's no player in New York that gets booed more than Johncarlo, yet he takes those war wounds in stride. This is the comments that Johncarlo had to say just a few years ago after being acquired by the New York Yankees and really stinking it up to begin his tenure with the Yankees.
I was awful today, but you know, Didi picked me up and the rest of the guys. So put up a performance like that, you should get some boos. So like I said, not ideal, but you know, we got another one.
Now, contrast that with the comments that you heard from Javi Baez. This is something that is having the fans, the baseball world, being taken by storm. So here are my thoughts. There's no doubt about it that there is a very, very different sense between players. All players react differently to different situations and different circumstances. However, when you come to New York, when you play in New York, that is hands down going to be one of the toughest markets to play in front of. Philadelphia is also another tough market in that same regard, that they hold their players to a very high standard, and rightfully so. Most of these players are getting paid an absolute insane amount of money to play a child's game, something that we would all love to be able to do, yet we don't have that ability. So, how do fans voice their displeasure? They boo. Now, personally, I'm not one that goes down that path, but every fan is entitled to their own feelings and their own opinion about it. Yes, I will rant and rave about players, about managers here on YouTube. That's how I voice my displeasure. But if you want to boo, that's your prerogative. However, a player does not have the right to sit here and say that the fans should be supporting them wholeheartedly when their performance does not dictate that. Javi Baez has been in New York all of 5 seconds and has yet to prove himself to the New York Mets fan base. Now, I'm a Yankee fan, so I'm not saying this as a Met fan who's going to be supporting the team itself. I'm saying this as an onlooker, same as you all here on YouTube. These comments show a lack of understanding when it comes to being a fan. And for somebody that says he loves the game of baseball so much that he has a tattoo of the Major League Baseball logo on the back of his neck, he should understand what it means to be a fan. And this is how fans voice their displeasure. Now, Javi Baez is likely not going to be around New York for very long. He is a free agent at the end of the season, and there's no way in this world he is going back to New York. Same thing with Kevin Pillar. However, the biggest situation that the Mets find themselves in, on top of all the other calamity that is the New York Mets and the catastrophe that entire organization is from the top down, is Francisco Lindor. Now, I've made it no secret, I absolutely love Javi Baez and Francisco Lindor, but this paints them in a very different light. Now, again, Javi's gone at the end of the season. Kevin Pillar is gone at the end. New York Mets fans have to deal with Francisco Lindor, a.k.a. Mr. Smiles, for another 10 years and $341 million. That's where this situation gets entirely different. That's where this situation gets painted in a very different light. Francisco Lindor is said to be the ringleader behind this thumbs down movement. If that's the case, if you're complaining because you weren't booed in Cleveland, who really don't care, as you can see, the way that their team has played this year and over the last several years, when they've been very, very good, people haven't really been there to support. Chicago Cubs fans are always going to have a special place for Javi Baez because he was on that team that separated themselves from the absolute most distinctive losing streak in all of baseball history in that 108-year World Series drought. But that does not change the fact that this is a different market. New York fans, Philadelphia fans, expect the utmost from their superstars. And when you come in with the name El Mago, Mr. Smiles, these nicknames are putting you on a pedestal in prime position. You, Javi Baez, were the main acquisition that the New York Mets had. Many other pundits, baseball fans, wanted Chris Bryant to head over to the New York Mets, not Javi Baez. However, you were their target, hoping that it would uplift Francisco Lindor. Neither of you have had a good season, and it continues to be the downfall of the New York Mets. Now, that's not to say that this is all Javi Baez and Francisco Lindor's fault. The New York Mets are ran as a third-string circus sideshow attraction, and that is really what this whole thing comes down to. The manager says he didn't know what was going on. The general manager has no control over the situation right now. And the owner is as active on Twitter as a 13-year-old girl. This is where you see the entire difference in the way a professional organization is ran and an unprofessional organization is ran. Steve Cohen, the owner of the New York Mets, has basically come out on Twitter and called his players and his team unprofessional. That in and of itself is a hypocritical statement from an unprofessional owner. Many people thought that Steve Cohen was going to be the second lifeblood of George Steinbrenner, a new owner with a lot of money ready to make moves to make his team better. However, that's where the comparison ends. Steinbrenner had a vision for this team and uplifted the New York Yankee franchise to something elegant, to something beautiful. Now, yes, you may say that that's just me being a Yankee fanboy. But when you look at the difference of the organizations in the same city, and that's the reason why I point out the New York Yankees, because when you look at the two organizations and how they are ran, it is very, very different. So in summation here, Javi Baez, Francisco Lindor, Kevin Pillar, you're all wrong. The fans have absolutely every right to boo you when you suck. If you don't want to be booed, play better. Javi, you want to talk about the fans need to be better? No, my friend. You have to be better. So these were just my brief thoughts here on this whole thumbs down situation. But I want to hear from you guys. Let me know your feelings down in the comment section below. What are your feelings about this whole situation? Who's in the right? Who's in the wrong? Where do you come down on this issue? As always, make sure you keep it locked into the Baseball Banter Broadcast channel by hitting that subscribe button down below, as well as the bell to be notified every time we drop new content. Make sure you check out our sister channels, WeSibs, the Laracuente Ledger Network, The Basement with Zach, and the Granite Geek Show. Links to their channels will be down in the show notes below. Again, if there's any new content to be covered, you will hear it here at the Baseball Banter Broadcast channel. So I will catch you guys when the latest news, notes, or my personal thoughts, theories, and opinions have to be dropped about the game of baseball.